So you guys caught some fish.
We did. Yeah, we did really well.
Yeah,
Really sweet.
Skyler, he came in kind of smug. He was like, it was really good fishing, like it was kind of funny. Like I know the guides, and I know they're a
Yeah,
little smug. They're a little smug grin, like we caught a lot of fish without like being cool. He's like being cool.
yeah, yeah. The cooler he is, the more fish he caught.
That's exactly right. If he
Yeah,
came in trying to tell me, oh yeah, it was amazing, blah blah blah, we were whacking slabs all day. I'm like, bullshit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were great. Both Burns and Skylar. Like, it was fun to watch their dynamic too. See him interact and hang and
Yeah, guide's day off
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Chris Farley bit in, I think it's Billy Madison, where he's the school bus driver.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, she and I got it on. And they're like, no, you didn't.
No, I don't think so.
Hey, well, welcome to the Men Podcast, everybody. I got Ryan Burch here, who has just a really cool kind of story. I met Ryan yesterday outside the shop, and Nathan, who works in the shop, told me what he was up to. And I was like, man, I half chased you down in the parking lot, right? And it'd probably be best if you give your 2-minute elevator pitch on kind of what you're up to and this right now.
So I am 3.5 months, almost 4 months into what will be a year-long trip that's centered around trying to catch a fish in each of the lower 48 states. And so I left early August, first week of August, and I've been on the road since, working my way west. And the goal is to kind of get through the Pacific Northwest before the snow really hits and runs me out of town. So I've got Washington, Oregon to do. Then going to head south before working my way back east through the spring and summer. I'm a high school teacher generally, and I got laid off in the spring and found myself with a year to kill and decided to hit the road.
Man, so what's harder, camping or catching?
Definitely depends on the state. I would say both camping and catching were harder on the East Coast because, we just don't really have BLM land there. The trout are, it's just not the West, So as I've worked my way west, there's been more incredible camping and more incredible fishing, which has been good because it's kind of been the opposite of my burnout level. So like as I've gotten more and more like, man, a bed would be real nice, a house would be real nice.
Or a place to park.
Exactly. As those things have become more and more readily available, my energy levels to seek them out and find them have gone down. So it's been nice. I've never been to Washington or Oregon before, and Pacific Northwest kind of has been on my list for a while. So nice to, like, I'm so close to the ocean.
Well,
I made it all the way across.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, like, you're in the Pacific Northwest, but you're in the high desert right now, so you're not really seeing like. Are you going to see Seattle? Or are you going to?
I want to. Yeah. I found that if I can catch a fish my first day or two in a state and kind of like check the box, like, okay, I've come here and done what I needed to do, then I can, shoot big, fish for steelhead, fish for bull trout, and really like go for glory, basically.
Yeah. Get it. You gonna just check the box. Hey, we caught, in this particular state. So when you've been to the various states, are you just doing a quick like box check? Like, hey, we nailed Idaho or whatever. Are you just immediately moving? Or are you trying to? Obviously, you said you're going to see Seattle, which is about 2 hours west of where we're at here, just so that you can lay eyes on it. You're from Vermont, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, so you're from Vermont, so you're going to see, you'll see coast to coast, and you'll have driven coast to coast at this point, really.
Yeah.
But are you going to fish more in Washington when you're here?
I definitely will. Yeah. I think I'm the type of fisherman that I don't get sick after like a couple days of fishing the same river, but like diversity and as wide a range of fisheries as I can see, I really want to see on this trip. So if I can get a fish day 1 or day 2, I can kind of diversify from there. I think I'm up to like 25 or 30 species this trip so far, which is, it's been good. So I definitely plan on fishing the coast for at least a couple of
So
days.
yeah, where are you gonna go on the coast? Like, what's the plan?
I don't know if you got any suggestions for me.
Man, I'll tell you, I mean, Washington is like, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about steelhead. I guided steelhead for a long time, and I do love steelhead. And Washington is known as a steelhead state, right? State fish, I believe. I should know that, but you know, trout and bass really have my heart. Like I like bitey species. I like imitating their really natural food source. I like tying flies, so like over many years of guiding steelhead, I've kind of just like gravitated back towards trout, even bass. I like to imitate like the true food source, how it lands on the water, how it sinks, it floats, pops, swims, whatever. So yeah, there is no shortage of information or steelhead rivers in Washington state. We run a lot of steelhead guided operations. In fact, but we don't fish the coast because you want to see like the rain coast.
Yeah, I think I've got it. When in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, we're a little early being in November for like the Olympic Peninsula, but some of the guys in here have been fishing. I mean, I think chum salmon are still super active right now. Those are a little bit like, I would say just they're going to appear with greater frequency.
Mhm.
There's coho right now, so like there's Pacific salmon species that you're not going to see in Vermont. So
Yeah,
I will put you in touch with a couple of the guys that
sweet.
from the shop here that fish a lot on the coast. Most of us, like, so we live in Eastern Washington. For those folks that listen to the podcast, maybe occasionally don't understand like our geography. We're on the east side of the Cascades, which is high desert, looks like southern Idaho, central Idaho. And then the west side, it's Seattle, it's Space Needle, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, rain, wool, and flannel shirts. And that's steelhead country. On the other side, we do have steelhead in eastern Washington, but like when people think of steelhead, they're thinking coastal fish. But a bunch of us grew up in western Washington, like around the Puget Sound, and a bunch of the guys that work here came here to go to college, and they still go fish all the time. So I'll have
Sweet.
those guys, and they may even be fishing over Thanksgiving weekend over there.
Okay,
So we'll do a little group chat, and I'll see if they can put you on some salmon.
I'm in. That
Dude.
sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. Yeah, well, that's one thing that's been huge this trip is, it's. I know you're very well traveled with your fishing, but like when you roll up there, like rod and reel, and like just you, it's a whole different
Oh, it's
game.
daunting.
Yeah, and then like even like here's this guy that doesn't fish that much, but used to fish, whatever. Like any local intel is so valuable.
Oh, and it's way better than this online bullshit that you don't know whether to trust it. Is it hype? Are they trying to sell me something?
Yeah.
Tell me about like, you're absolutely right, man, because like you're on this solo odyssey. You're just a dude. You didn't even ask for much help when you came in the store. Like
Mm-mm.
you were like kind of in, I can kind of hear down there, but like you were just kind of in and out. You weren't like, hey, I'm making a documentary. Like, could you help me? Like you didn't
Yeah.
throw me a life preserver. What's it like when you're traveling around going to these destinations? Obviously, you're hitting some fly shops, here and there. Like, what has your experience been like? In fact, let me pose the question better. What's been like your worst experience? And you don't have to name fly shops or
Mhm.
people, but what's been your worst experience? And then we'll talk about your best experience.
You said worst experience first?
Yeah,
I so I went into a shop
because
and
I think this is relatable because what you're doing in all these states, people are doing every day,
totally,
right?
absolutely.
Just a user, just somebody weekend warrior wants to catch fish.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say generally when I walk into a shop with a camera and a smile on my face, people are like pumped to be nice to me, right? Dude's got a camera. Like let's like just figure out what he's doing with his camera. And at one shop in particular, I just kind of got like shut down, like didn't want to answer my questions. And then they didn't let me film at all. They didn't kick me out. I still bought flies, but it was like,
You just put some back.
yeah, they were kind of, and everyone has bad days. Who knows? But it was almost like, we don't really want you like filming this region of our state, which I'm not spot burning. I'm not doing anything like that. So that bummed me out. That was a day ruiner for sure.
And this is obviously a random location that was on your route. It wasn't like you singled out this, like
Totally.
because geographically you kind of have a route you need to take. It's not like you're going 400 miles out of your way to go to a particular river, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit of that. I would say out of the 48 states, like maybe 10 or 15 of them are really like true top of my bucket list water. But yeah, I mean, I've done 10,000 miles already. I can't be like adding 1,000 miles to go fish X, Y, Z
So you
stream.
go at this shop and they just shut you down.
Yeah, it was weird. Like the kid at the counter was really nice and pumped, and I was like, "Can I film in here?" And he kind of pointed me to the higher ups, and the higher ups were
Gray hair.
getting there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like me.
No, so that I don't know. I'm a sensitive dude, and I think when you're putting yourself out there creatively, it's pretty crappy to have someone just be like, "No." Most people are like, "Dude, that idea is awesome." Like your response was like, I get that all the time. Just people that are pumped and like supportive and want to help, and it's not what I got at this shop.
I, I want to, this may sound outlandish, but I think what you're doing requires such a tremendous amount of courage that a bunch of us that work in the industry are too timid to participate in like this project that you're on. Like I guide and I sleep in my own bed at night. It's
Mhm.
not that hard, man. Like I don't always, I could travel a little bit. I've worked in some fishing camps and things, but I can imagine you bump into people and like your ambition to participate in this project is so much greater than most of us that currently work in the industry. Like I could see people being threatened by that. Like
Mm,
this guy's more ambitious, he's more creative. Like here I am, you know, people get a little bit of a rut and they get a little bit grouchy
mhm,
and I could see people being a little bit threatened by that of going, man, because like what you're doing is dude, the courage and the leap of faith that you've taken on, like, is not lost on me at all, dude.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
And
Yeah, I've noticed, like, I've had a couple instances of that kinda I didn't take it as, like, we're threatened by the fact
I
that what
don't
you're
even
doing is
think they
wrong.
know they're threatened by it. I
Yeah,
think they see
yeah.
somebody with this unapologetic enthusiasm for fly fishing, and maybe it's filmmaking, but at the core of it, it's fly fishing experience, like, going around the country, and they probably lost a little bit of that along the way,
Mm,
being sucked into this industry that, we're talking fishing all day, every day, and then you have somebody come in that like, "Hey, I'm doing something so far beyond what you're currently doing as far as creativity and risk and courage, and it's gotta be a little lonely."
oh, yeah, yeah,
Like, I
a lot
mean,
lonely. Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, and then somebody goes like, I could see him being just kinda like instead of embracing and going, "Man, you're doing something that I wish I had the balls to go do."
Mm,
Like, and when I met you yesterday, I was like, "Dude, I wish I had the balls to go do what Ryan's doing because it's a big project, man."
mhm.
You've driven 10,000 miles. You've been on the road for how long?
Pushing 4 months.
4 months. So that's a lot of nights.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
okay, we'll talk about your best experience in a bit or your best experiences, and you can just give us a generalization, but tell us about your rig, dude. Like, how are you doing this? Like,
Yeah, so I've got a 2002 Toyota Tundra, my trusty steed, and then in the back of that, I have a four-wheel camper, pop-up style camper, and they're a lead sponsor of the project, so they helped us, so much there with the
God
home on
bless
wheels.
them.
I know.
Repeat their name again and the specific model because this is the kind of stuff that type of sponsorship for fly fishing is so important.
Yeah, so it's a four-wheel campers. They're based out of Woodland, California, and I have the Fleet model, which is made for kind of those like smaller to mid-size pickup trucks. And yeah, sponsorship aside, the thing is a dream. I tell people it's the nicest thing I have ever owned or will ever own. It's incredible.
You don't feel like you're gonna roll over every time you go around a corner.
No, not at all. And I drive like it's a rental for sure. Yeah, I got a queen size bed in there, like can cook all my food, sink, heater. My dog's in there right now hanging out. He's warm as can be. So
What
It's
model is it? Woodland?
it's called a fleet model.
Fleet model.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you got, your old Yoda
Mhm.
runs like a top.
It does.
You have any car trouble on this journey so far?
Not yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. I
Ye
mean, things that get exercised regularly are generally, work better. So you got the camper, and then how are you storing your rods?
I got a river quiver up top, and then I generally keep like a 3, a 5, and a 10 in there at all times, and then I've got a handful of others broken down in storage in the camper.
Break any rods yet?
Yeah, yeah. I think I've broken 4, maybe? I'm super, super rough on stuff.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, I got in Wisconsin, I got a gun pulled on me on the river. I misplaced or it's all easement water there, and I thought this wooden gate that looks exactly like every other easement I had been stepping over for the past week.
Because describe that in Wisconsin, because just learned
Yeah.
about this
S
well, I got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Describe the easement situation, because I learned about this, I think, on trout routes. I don't know if you're using that app
Yeah.
or not,
I have been. I
but
have
there's
been.
private land that's public access, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so I this is my understanding of it. I'm pretty sure like 80 to 90% of the water in the driftless region of Wisconsin is private. At least driving around there for a week, that's what it looked like for me. So barbed wire fences with the streams literally running through them. And there these easements, which are marked with signs, or they're just they all look the same. They're, I don't know, maybe 4x4s that run vertically, and then they have like steps across them. They're kind of like miniature ladders. And the rule is you can go and fish that water below the high water mark or in the water. I don't know which one. You can use this easement to get over the barbed wire fence, and you can kind of walk straight to the river. Once you're at the river, you can go up and down, but you can't really you can't meander off
Mhm.
of that path. And so, yeah, this one night, was some of the best trout fishing I'd ever experienced, and stayed out way later than I should. It was pitch black, and I'm walking back to the truck, and there's this little wooden fence there that looks exactly like all the
Yeah,
other
like a
wooden
step
fence.
over fence. You don't
Yeah.
have to tear your waders up, just hop
Yeah,
over it. Yeah.
and, so I went over it, and I'm walking back to the road, and I hear this, like, pissed off donkey. I'm like, "That's weird that there's a donkey right next to me." It's running around, and then I look over, and I see a light turn on, and I'm like, "Oh, boy. This is different than the route that I took to get to the river." And I'm walking kind of along this cornfield, and all of a sudden, flashlight probably, like, 3 feet in front of my face, and it wasn't pointed at me, but huge gun, like, down by this guy's side.
Dude, seriously, like, they ambushed you with a flashlight, like, 3 feet in front of your face.
Yeah, yeah, and, to be fair, I think that this guy thought that I was, like, robbing him, or, like, I don't like a wolf messing around with his livestock or something. As soon as I'm a chill dude. I, like, kinda, like, put my hands, I, like, drop my rod. That's how I I broke it. I just, like, flung it. "Dude, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Just I thought I could be here. I'm trying to get back to the truck." He was really upset for a little while, maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then I think kind of as I explained my side of things,
When he realized you crapped your waders, he was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. He's kinda gave me, like, the gruff, like, "Get out of here," type of deal. So I broke one rod that way, and then a couple others just,
It's
the
fishing hard,
classics.
man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I've been meditating on this a bunch because I just sent a pair of waders in for repair.
Mhm.
And this is related to the rod breaking thing. And like you see the shirt I'm wearing right now, I was just showing this the other guy earlier. I got pitch on this thing.
Yeah.
I've got holes cut in it, right? And this is like piece of merino wool. Like, are you going to throw away a piece of merino wool? It's one of these Squala products because you got a hole in it? God,
Mhm.
no, right? It's just getting broken in. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I sent in a pair. Coincidentally, it was a Squala pair of waders I've had for a couple of years. they got a little leak in one of the boots after about 2 years where the boot attaches to the wader, and we'll talk about some of the gear like, I was interested in gear, but and there was a little leak in the boot, which I've worn the waders super hard. I'm like, "Yeah, 2 years, got a hole in them," and I went through their little warranty thing, and I could call I could call my friends that work there and be like, "Hey, send me some new waders."
Yeah.
But, like, no, I'm gonna go through their standard warranty channel, and as I've gotten older, and I'm not a bleeding heart environmentalist, but I'm smart about, like, resource use and reasonable about the use of resources and energy and things. And I was like, "No, I'm gonna go through their standard warranty channel, and I just wanna see where this goes. Like, I don't want any favors." And I sent my waders in, and they tested them, and they're like, "Yep, got a leak in the boot." Got an email back, and then 2 weeks later, they shipped them back to me with just a new pair of boots on. They didn't throw the waders away. They didn't throw them in a dumpster. They didn't charge me anything. It was just a leak where there was a seam, and so they replaced the boots. But, like, when it comes to rods, like, I've gotten really disheartened by rod companies and wader companies or apparel or general. This could be an Amazon.com product, for crying out loud, where they just take the product and dispose of it and throw it in a dumpster, a landfill somewhere, rather than repairing a small part of it.
Mhm.
And I was like so encouraged that I sent my waders back and they just put new boots on them, minimally, environmental impact. Throw some new boots on them, get them back to me. They're great. They work perfect. But like when it comes to broken rods and things, like I don't know what brands or rods. We don't have to name brands.
Mhm.
I don't want to, jeopardize a sponsor or
Y
anything like that.
You're good.
Like, did you warranty the rods that you broke yet? Like, did
Yeah.
they give you a whole new rod? Did they repair a rod? Did you order just a tip of the rod? What was the situation?
So, another company that's really supported us is Orvis. I'm from Vermont, and they're Vermont-based, so
Their warranty is great.
their warranty is incredible. So I
Well, hey, I mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're good.
one thing I liked because I did the same exact thing with Orvis and I put it on YouTube. I broke a
Oh,
tip on an
cool.
Orvis rod and I went and logged in just like a customer, not a shop owner or anything like that. And I was like, I'm just going to see how they take care of me. In 5 days, I had a new tip for the rod. So I could choose to do just the rod section rather than replace the whole thing. And that made me very happy to know that I wasn't throwing away, which I've got. I mean, look at all those rods right there.
Mhm.
So there's a bunch of rods in there where I've got 3 pieces of a rod in there that they replaced the whole rod, and I'm so, like, anti throwing anything away that a bunch of those there's probably, 50 rod tubes there, like,
Mhm.
between this corner and that corner,
Yeah.
and some of them have 3 pieces in there, but I do like that about Orvis that they let me choose which section rather than just saying, "Oh, we'll send you a new one." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so nonsensical to send a like, from a customer standpoint, from their standpoint, like, it I don't know, it probably took you, like, 3 minutes once you got onto the website to order what you needed,
yep.
and, it's crazy to me that, "Oh, send them a whole new one, send them." I completely agree
Or
with you.
sending the whole rod to them,
Yeah.
you know, carbon footprint, then they process it, and then they send the whole thing back, and in some instances where they're custom building the tip, that's required. But I did like that about Orvis that there wasn't freight going one way and then freight going another way. There was just freight coming back to me,
Yeah.
which I did like.
Yeah. Yeah, so my experience with all of that, and I just use the standard customer portal on their website. It's been awesome. The trickiest part was figuring out where the heck I can get mail. So I'd have to, like, okay, I'm gonna visit my grandma in Iowa, like, I'll get my broken 3-weight tip sent there, and I'll have it in 2 weeks. So there was a couple of times just because of my travel schedule that I was without a specific rod for a few weeks, but yeah, they're speedy with their shipping. It's, like, always same week for me, get the rod in.
Yeah. So what you visit your grandma in Iowa. What'd you catch in Iowa?
I caught a really sweet flathead catfish.
What?
Yeah, on a tarpon fly, actually. I was largemouth fishing this little reservoir in town, and I caught a couple nice bass, and then I was still bass fishing, just with intermediate line, 8 weight, and I hooked this fish. I haven't caught a ton of huge fish. I've caught my fair share of, 20, 30, 40-pound fish. So I know what it feels like, and I hooked this fish that I just can't get it off the bottom. I am reefing on it. It's, probably swims 40 feet to my left over the course of 2 minutes, huge head shakes. And I'm just like, this rod is fully bent over and pops off. And I'm the GoPro clip. I just stand there and swear for like 15 minutes. And I kind of, I'm like, okay, what could that have been? Definitely a catfish. So I made some adjustments, and like 15 minutes later caught, I don't know, 25, 26 inch flathead.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was super fun because it just, on fly especially, pretty unique species.
Have you heard of, I don't know if it's still going. We did it for a couple of years called a 25 on the fly tournament.
Yeah.
So we hosted a few of those.
Okay.
And we ended up modifying ours and calling it a scavenger hunt because for a couple of reasons. One, we were trying to recruit a lot more young kids, and we did it over Father's Day weekend where it was a father, son, or daughter, or a little mini family unit, a father with a son and a daughter. And we ended up calling it a scavenger hunt because we wanted to get the kids to catch crayfish or catch sculpin or spot a bald eagle, et cetera. But yeah, targeting catfish on the fly. I don't know that anybody ever got a catfish the years we did those tournaments, but I have caught a couple of catfish while bass fishing over the years. They actually fight pretty dang good.
They do. I love how unique they fight too, right? Like those things, they're just like, all I know is the bottom of this lake. I'm staying down here. No huge runs, but they just stay down, big head shakes. And I kind of grew up in Vermont, not flathead, but smaller catfish, doing a lot of that with spin gear. So it's a cool like throwback to my childhood days.
So catfish in Iowa, let's do a 2-minute drill here.
Yeah.
I want state and species as best you can recollect.
Okay. Vermont, we did kind of like panfish slam, me and a couple friends, and we got pickerel there, largemouth, some different species of sunfish, perch, kind of started off small. New York, I fished in Central Park with this guy Brandon Dale, who's a guide in Manhattan, and we fished for carp, and I broke off what would have been at the time my biggest freshwater fish ever. Huge carp.
In Central Park. Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. And he, all these guys that I'm fishing with, I'm kind of fishing like alongside them as opposed to like, being coached more, though a little bit less like the traditional kind of like client guide relationship. Cause I want to see them do their thing and really show off their fishery.
You didn't sign up to be told what to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I love feedback.
This is supposed to be doing, like part of this mission you're on, right? Is you doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he caught a really nice one, which was sweet. So I don't know if I can technically add carp to the list, but he got one. And I caught crappie just like an hour outside of New York City. I kind of had to audible before I left town. And then Pennsylvania I fished the Susquehanna for smallmouth. And then brook trout, rainbows, browns. Where did I go next?
All in Pennsylvania?
All in Pennsylvania. I fished New River Gorge in West Virginia for smallies. And then Kentucky was also smallies. After Kentucky, I did Ohio, which was trout. And we bass fished as well. And I caught some kind of, what were they? Shiners, creek chub. Expanded the trip started with a lot of small fish. That's for sure. We had a kind of historic drought this year in the Northeast. After Ohio, Indiana broke off a salmon.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I was there really early for salmon, and we ran into
those are obviously Great Lakes fish.
Yeah. What else? Freshwater drum.
I saw that on your Instagram.
I caught a huge
what state? I didn't read the caption, but I saw the drum.
So that was Michigan in the I always said the name, Big Sable River. And I don't know if this is common. I had never seen it before. There was a pod of salmon with a single huge drum just with them.
I didn't even know they had freshwater drum in Michigan.
Yeah, they at least have one. And so I never caught steelhead, never caught salmon on fly. And so I'm fishing to this pot of salmon. I'm like, this is like my fly fishing dream coming true. And cast out my streamer, and this fish like peels off. Heart rate goes through the roof, and it eats my fly. Fishing a big 8-weight strip set, and like pretty quickly I realized this isn't a salmon, but I got it in, and it was like I don't know, a true river monsters fish. It was pretty ugly, and
Dude, that thing was cool looking.
oh yeah, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
To a fish nerd, cool looking, but yeah, very unique fish. Big.
Well, I
hump on
live in the
nose,
Northwest where salmon are everywhere. I caught a coho on Sunday,
and
here on this river, actually. So yeah, to catch like a freshwater drum, to me, that's like friggin' sweet.
yeah, I was fired up. It was the first true like giant that I had caught this trip, and I needed it, a little morale boost. And since then, it's been mostly like I caught cutbows, cutthroat, rainbows, browns, brookies, kind of all in this region since Colorado.
Yeah, okay, so you went kinda like, where did you go? So Michigan, you end up in Iowa.
Yeah, so I actually went up. I was like, this is such a good opportunity to experience the UP. I'd never been up there before, so I drove up over the UP, and then I did the driftless. So that was Wisconsin, just stepped over Minnesota line, fished there for a couple days, and then I actually circled back and fished like downtown Chicago in Illinois before doing Iowa.
Wow, now what'd you fish for in downtown Chicago?
We started off salmon fishing, and they just weren't there. So we switched and fished for smallies. It was really cool. I met like a kind of like inner city fly tying club, and went to the bar with those guys. They broke out their vices. And so that was a really cool, unique experience. I'd been to Chicago before, but never to fish. So.
Yeah, because Chicago's not at the, generally the top of the traveling anglers list.
Yeah, especially not fly fishing.
So then you take off south, you wind up, assume did you hit the Dakotas?
I did, yeah. So I fished. Next was Iowa, and then Nebraska. I actually caught trout in Nebraska. It's like this little lone pine or long pine in kind of the north. Nothing to write home about, but I caught a fair share. My mom actually flew out to spend a little time with me.
Oh, awesome.
So I got her first fish on a fly, which was really sweet. And then South Dakota, I fished the Black Hills on the western side of the state before going up to North Dakota. And North Dakota just about like broke me.
This is like, yeah, this this is like the Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere, man. Yeah. Dude, you gotta we gotta rewrite the lyrics.
Yeah, it'd be a long song,
So you wind up just, it sounds like you've been pretty trout centric, as you cross the West, right? Yeah. You were catching in the Dakotas rainbows?
I think I caught browns, rainbows, and brookies.
Yeah. Everything in the Dakotas.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever fished the Black Hills?
No.
It's super unique, kind of small water, and the mountains there are really steep. So it's kind of technical fishing.
It's a lot of plunge pools and
but I loved it. There's not a ton of people around, and I was there late enough in the year that I don't think, there wouldn't have been a lot of people around no matter what, but I really loved it.
And so you go blast through the Dakotas, you get the trout, super slam, browns, rainbows, brookies. Obviously, you're not getting into West Slope cuts yet because you need to get on the other side of the Rockies.
Yeah.
You get into Colorado. But did you hit Wyoming before Colorado? Or
I did. So I was up in North Dakota and had like just a really, really hard time with fishing. It was this insane 4-day windstorm the first 4 days. I was fishing gusts up to 70. I got blown off my feet a couple times. I ended up with a bloody nose, and it's probably the least fun I've ever had fishing. So after that,
and your party is like, you just want to get this damn fish and say goodbye to North Dakota. Like,
Exactly. So I ended up I audibled and went to like a youth fishing area in Dickinson, set the ego aside. I was like, man, this is
What'd
luckily
you
there
do?
weren't
Shave your beard and
no, I would think I was allowed. I actually don't know. Maybe I might have been poaching there, like kids only.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they would have felt sorry for you.
I think so. Yeah, show up with a bloody nose, crying, and I think they would have let me. So I did on my way to Colorado. I fished the Encampment River and kind of the Miracle Mile on the eastern half of Wyoming, just to kind of like reacquaint myself with catching fish, build the ego back up a
Yeah,
little
how was
bit.
that Miracle Mile? Was it all it cracked up to
That
be?
I did not do well there. There were huge fish eating the smallest dry flies I think I've ever seen.
Oh, I've heard guys are fishing 22s, like
Yeah, and I
standard.
and I was just because I had a kind of a due date to be in Colorado, I only had an afternoon to fish, so I didn't really give it my all. I fished lower down on the North Platte and did pretty well. So I kind of just went to experience it. But Wyoming was amazing. It was super
Yeah, I can
focused.
just kind of see your eyes lighting up. I mean,
Yeah.
if you had a week to live based on what you fished thus far, like where would you spend your week to live, and what month would it be?
Oh man. I think Montana blew my mind. And
Yeah, we
I
haven't even talked about Montana yet.
Yeah, I think I would go back, and I will do this probably next summer. I think I would go back to Montana in the summer.
Where did you fish?
We fished the Madison, up in
Okay.
Madison.
Did you fish the like Reynolds Pass area
We
or
fished near West Yellowstone.
okay?
There's Quake Lake, and then for blanking the name of the
Hebgen
other
is up above it.
Hebgen. Yeah, so we fished the stretch right in between there.
Did you go to the I think it's called the Fireside Cafe? I
No.
think it's called Fireside. It's been years since I've been there, but I went there with my family once. And family story. So I don't get out of Washington a ton to fish other than I travel. I'll go to other countries, but like we have a lot of fishing here and I'm an outfitter and I love fishing with our guides and learning more about, our local fisheries, man. We have water in every direction from here.
Mhm.
But I took my family to West Yellowstone and we did a bunch of fishing around there, but my boys were probably 10 and 12, like they're pretty good sticks at 10 and 12, they can cast real good and everything. And, but it's a family trip. So my daughter's there, my wife's there. They like fishing, but they're not in love with it. And we saw a sign that was like the world's largest pancakes or something, and we're like, I think it was called the Fireside Cafe. Somebody can correct me that fishes there all the time, but it was years ago. I've only been there once, but yeah, we drove down and we're like, I'll be dang, this thing's on the river. And we ordered our breakfast, and we got, like, the biggest pancakes in the world or whatever the hell the
Yeah.
nomenclature was. Biggest pancakes in the world. We had our rods with us, so my older son and I went out and fished and caught, like, a cutthroat and a rainbow, like, right out in front of the cafe, released our fish, came back, and, like, literally, it was, like, one of the biggest stack of pancakes I've ever seen. And to this day, we talk about the pancake spot. We're like, "Man, we ought to go back and fish that pancake spot." But that's between Hebgen and Quake, and we were able to fish all that on foot, which when I go fishing with my family, we do road trips every summer to fish, and we always wade fish. We don't take the boat. We like
Yeah.
being in the water. It's a more intimate experience. It might sound corny, but we wanna feel the water against our legs. We wanna feel the current. We wanna, like, live in that struggle. We have access to every kind of boat imaginable. You've seen our boat yard here. We got big
Mhm.
rafts, small rafts, skiffs, big drift boats. We wade everywhere we go, and that was one of the funnest trips we've ever done, was
That's awesome.
that patch of water in there at the Pancake Spot.
I've heard a lot of Miracle Mile. Like, there's lots of good nicknames for stretches of water, but the pancake spot is that's pretty good. That's
The
pretty good.
Pancake Spot. Did you go down and fish in Quake Lake when you were there?
We were fishing the Stretcher River like kind of closer to the lake, so I walked down a couple hundred yards and fished just like right where the lake, right where the river flows in, and it's cool water. All those
Yeah.
dead trees and
All that flooded timber is
yeah,
beautiful. Those fish I was down there in the middle of the day, and I found them to be impossible to catch
yeah,
in
yeah.
that section. Somebody's better than me would certainly have more success.
I swung some streamers and caught a couple down there, but yeah, any smaller fly that I threw at them, they're like, I could see them laughing at me. They're like, you think I'm gonna eat that?
Yeah, we're not the first person to cast at those trout.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a really great time there. It's funny you mentioned that spot, but yeah, we had, and I can't put my finger on why, because it wasn't like the necessarily the biggest trout or the best fishing or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. But we just that there's not guide boats coming through that stretch. I think that made it feel a little bit more exclusive, in that section there. Plus the pancakes were pretty kick ass too.
Added bonus. If I go back, I'm definitely getting pancakes.
So, we could spend hours talking about Montana, I'm sure, but I'm assuming you hit Idaho before you came here?
I did. Yeah. So I fished Henry's Lake in Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, which I had, had heard
Gulpers, man.
yeah, had heard so much about, and I caught some huge cutthroat.
I've heard that. I've never fished it,
Yeah,
but yeah, I've heard it's really neat.
it felt like cheating for sure. We arrived at night, and I have trouble, like, if I arrive to a river or a lake that I'm camping on, not going and like looking at it the second. I'm sure lots of listeners have that
Yeah.
same thing. Like, I gotta see the water. And then I walked down there with my headlamp at midnight, and I saw definitely the biggest cutthroat I've ever seen in my life, and more cutthroat than I've probably seen collectively in my entire life. Just like everywhere in this lake. You couldn't find a stretch of shore where they're not.
Well, this is probably a great time of year. I mean,
Yeah.
crowds have left, a lot of vacationers, kids are back in school, just generally less traffic. It's cooler out. So the fish are
Mhm.
probably, more likely to be up near the surface than the dog days of summer. And so you've found fish feeding on hatches on Henry's Lake.
Yeah, super small bugs again, and it was funny, I actually bumped into a guy at the pancake spot, and he was the one that, super nice. People have been so nice when I tell them what I'm up to. He gave me some fly. He was crushing it. Gave me some flies, and when he's like, by the way, in Idaho, you should check out Henry's Lake. So decided to go down there a couple days later, and I bumped into him again. Just happened to be the same dude, and he fished for an afternoon and did really well.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've heard so much about it. It sounds just, I mean, casting at big rising trout in still water is, I don't know why, man. I started really getting serious about fly fishing in the late 90s, and like in the late 90s, like in our area here, we have this really unique hydrology where when they built Grand Coulee Dam, which is just one of the biggest dams on the planet, I assume.
Mhm.
I don't know how it compares to some of the big stuff they have in China or other countries or on the Nile or whatever. Grand Coulee Dam is significant, and it altered the water table of all of eastern Washington. And so we have a lot of what are called seep lakes, where there were low spots or wetlands that all of a sudden became, like spring-fed lakes. And so water began to seep up, partially just because the water tables alter, but because they began to irrigate a lot of the desert in the Columbia Basin that you would have driven through if you came over like
Gotcha.
I-90, right?
Yep, yep.
And so like a lot of that water you're seeing, like you're like, man, I'm in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden there's a waterway here. But it created a big series of lakes called the Seep Lakes, and we have amazing still water fishing here. Frankly, like we're so wrapped up in this western, that we have this beautiful big western river. We'll talk about your fishing experience today in a minute, but I don't know why, but lake fishing was so much more popular back then. And
Hmm.
it's not really that it's any different, but God, lake fishing was just so much more popular. And now it seems like, there's a lot more drift boats floating around. The guide community it's been built up. Our fishing, as you saw today, is still good. But it seems like drift boats in general and Western style river fishing has just become much more accessible to people. Like when, when my partner Steve, that you saw him come in here and grab something off his desk earlier, that's the one I finally convinced to have a beer today with me.
Nice.
Finally,
That's
he's a hard one.
awesome.
Uh, it's evening, folks. Just verifying.
Not
It,
8 a.m.
it's not 8 a.m. But when Steve originally bought this place, think they closed on it in '03 or '02. I can't remember, but there wasn't even like a consistent shuttle service. So like to do a float in the canyon, it was very like the ability to just get a shuttle was really spotty.
Yeah.
Old, Red from Red's Fly Shop and Marlene would kind of taxi you a little bit, but like you couldn't get a shuttle in the conventional sense where I'm like, hey, here's my key, here's where I'm going, here's $40. So like it's just become easier to float and access. But like I used to fish lakes a lot before I had access to a drift boat and there was a shuttle service because I could go put a float tube or a boat in and I could go catch, as you experienced on Henry's Lake, well above average size fish when compared to like a river system. Lake fish grow big.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's, if anybody's listening and paying attention, like the publicly accessible still waters across the West have large trout. Like if you want to do something a little bit different, pay attention to that. And there's a learning curve to lake fishing. I mean, if they're not up, they're not up. You can get kind of beat up by the wind. But as far as catching large fish, that's been my experience is lake fishing is somewhat underrated.
Yeah, 100%. I stripping streamers too. Like, I think I do a ton of striped bass fishing on the coast of Maine, and that's like just there's something so I don't. It feels like back in the day when I go and lure fish somewhere where you're like dragging this big thing through this fish's feeding zone, and you're just pissing them off. And I love like being on a huge body of water and fishing a bait fish pattern. It just, you never know what's going to happen, right? Like there's got to be huge fish in there. And if you're in the right spot at the right time, anything can happen. And that goes for rivers too, but it's different. I feel like the cap is a little bit lower.
Well, when you're out on big water and you catch a fish, you feel like you've done something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's different than a creek where you kind of have a captive audience, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're like, I picked a good piece of water. Maybe it was a point, a cove, a ledge, whatever, piece of structure in a big body of water. But you feel like you've actually done something
Mm-hmm.
on that big water. It's like I was talking to a guy. I was actually talking to Kevin Sloan, the owner of the Squala company earlier,
Mm-hmm.
BSing about steelheading on the phone earlier. And I was trying to describe to him, like, with the advent of all of these, transducers that allow you to not only like use sonar capability to find fish, but now we're like live scoping, like your point, you've seen all this, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's insane.
yeah, it's insane. Like so much of the mystery in fishing has been removed by our ability to know there's fish there or not know there's fish there. Like even if there's not fish there, I kind of like to believe they're there. And I was trying to explain this to him and he got it and he said something really profound, which I can't remember now, but it was something like, all the excitement and the goosebumps, the anticipation, the gut instinct, the hunch, the hope that goes into fishing is so removed when you're like, oh yeah, there's either it's the suspicion is removed or the anticipation is removed when you know fish are there, and then your inspiration evaporates when you know there's not fish there, and you're like,
100.
yeah, it's obviously more effective if we can find fish, but I still like going out and like whether it's a lake or a big piece of water, following my hunches and my gut instincts and hope. Hope is powerful fuel for the angler.
100%. Yeah, I would be interested to hear a psychologist's take on fishing with live scope versus fishing how we have for thousands of
Primally.
years. Yeah, because it's an entirely it's a fundamentally different experience for the brain.
Oh, I'm not going to, I think we were all kidding ourselves. I mean, it sounds like such a, fundamental cliche of fishing. It's not about the catching, right? It's
Mhm.
about the fishing. But I enjoy that hope and I enjoy the hope. I enjoy the anticipation. And, so much of that in fly fishing is still very pure.
Definitely.
This is still very, very pure. Well, so you hit Idaho, you did Henry's Lake.
Yeah.
What else you hit in Idaho? Anything?
Yeah, I fished the Big Wood.
Oh, yeah, catch them.
Yeah, I fished. It was just a rough day. It was really cold. I spent a couple
Well, that's
hours.
high elevation.
Yeah, I spent a couple hours just driving around to different pins and finding frozen water. So I wasn't like the most stoked to be, out fishing, but I caught a couple rainbows. I fished Silver Creek saw the biggest brown trout I've ever seen in my life.
Did you go to the
And
Nature Conservancy area?
I didn't. We camped like, I don't know, 5 or 10 miles from there. That's still on my list though, to go up to the Nature Conservancy. Probably not this trip, but at some point.
I fished there one time. Okay, and I know everybody's like, it's so hard. It's the most technical fishing on earth. I'm not kidding, man. I show up, and in the first 15 minutes, I hook 2 fish that are like 26 inches, like just 7 pounds, like just giant fish. And I'm like, what are you? Some buddies had taken me over there. I'm like, what are you guys talking about, man? I'm like, I put on a tiny nymph with little pulsa pinch on indicator, hook 2 fish. Like, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Dude, I fished 9 more hours with zero strikes. Like, I mean, God was like, yeah, humility is not one of your strong suits.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we're gonna correct that. And boy, that was like, I felt like I was in trout purgatory for the next 9 hours, and I've never been back since.
That's so funny. Like,
It's
oh,
so
you said it
true.
was easy? Oh, watch this. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, so Silver Creek, I do have very fond memories. That a good ass kicking is one that'll stick with you. Dude, what are you up to in license fees? Like,
So I think I did the math before the trip. I think it's like $1,600 for all 48 states.
what state has been the biggest pain in the ass to get a license?
Washington was the most expensive.
Yeah, for non-res.
Non-res, yeah.
Did you get like a 2-day, or what'd you get?
No, so I don't know. I'm sure like everyone listening to this is gonna be like, this guy's an idiot. I like had a very difficult time
No,
navigating their
I've heard
website.
that again and again and again and
I
again.
had to buy a full year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude,
$120.
you know what's messed up?
What's that?
I don't think you have to. Like,
It's the first state that didn't allow me a short-term non-resident.
and I swear there's some workaround for that, but a dude told me that just the other day. Like, we got a problem. So if there's anybody,
I don't know if it is a problem. It depends who you're asking.
well, I think it's a problem because it should be more user friendly. Because like, I fish in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, and it's
Yeah.
like it's super easy. I get a couple days. Idaho, I
Yeah.
usually get a season, but I'll get a couple days license. It is so stupid easy to get them.
Yeah.
And then in Washington, obviously we have people from fishing from outside the area all the time. And it's just it's like, as soon as they say, oh, I need to buy a license, it's like, oh, my cortisol level goes through the roof. I'm like, you're going to have an account and a login and a passcode, and you're going to have to do all this baloney. And I get it, so that way you can log back in and see your license. I'm not oblivious to some of the advantages, but yes, historically, Washington, my experience with guests that are fishing through us as compared to my experience buying non-resident elsewhere has been much more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So out of the $1,600, you spent $120 in Washington.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, I think Kentucky was like $5 or something, right? Like, they're just like, we'll take anything we can get. Like,
Yeah,
so
maybe our fishing's worth it.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, you
Exactly.
know what? Part of that 120 might be that you've got like a salmon steelhead endorsement. There
Yeah.
might be some other stuff wrapped into that that's not just a freshwater like game fish license. I'm not going to open the app right now, but I need to figure that out. But I wonder if they've got some stuff wrapped into it that you don't necessarily need. But so $1,600, 120 of that's for the great state of Washington.
Yeah. 117 or something like that.
Yeah, seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into like today's outing, I want to go back, and I'm not fishing. I'm not lobbying for your experience here to be the best, but what has been your best experience thus far, as far as qualitative, not like, oh, we caught a lot of fish, right? Fishing is just fishing, but like, who have you met like prior to coming to Reds, like your experience today? Who have you met that's just been like, oh my gosh, like I'm so glad I met that person. The guy at Henry's Lake the guy that put you on to the information for Henry's Lake sounds like a wonderful dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, I met like truly hundreds and hundreds of people at this point. Pennsylvania was super, super special. I got connected with this guy, Scott Martin, who's a photographer, outdoor photographer. And he's been fly fishing a couple years, but he's still kind of like learning the ropes. And so he was really pumped. He found me through Instagram and reached out. He's like, dude, I've got a boat. Like, let's just go fishing together. And he took a ton of incredible photos. And he's from South Africa originally, so he afterwards invited me back to his place and cooked me like this incredible traditional South African like barbecue
Yeah, say
over a
meat was
fire.
on the menu.
Yeah, and that was just amazing. And I left there, and I play a little pickleball in my free time back in Vermont.
That was invented in Washington
Was
State
it?
here, yeah.
Oh man, Washington might end up being my
I
favorite.
just heard
crazy.
my kids were telling me something last night. It's like it's our official state sport now.
Oh wow.
It was invented on Bainbridge Island, Washington, which is where they make sage fly rods. Not far, not a long ways from here. And it's a tradition that whoever's closer to Bainbridge Island, further west, is the first one to serve. So you're closer to Bainbridge, like that's how you serve. At least that's like local pickleball cult stuff. So how do you figure out in Vermont when you're playing who serves first?
Oh, we have a side of the court.
Yeah, closer to Bainbridge Island, Washington.
It might be.
Yeah, it'd be your west side.
That's hilarious. So I was driving around in Pennsylvania, and I saw like outside of a church, like a LED Wednesday night pickleballs, and I was like,
so you brought your paddles with you?
I did, just one, and I was like, I'm gonna go. Like I'm not religious, so I'm gonna like go in there and see what's up.
Just mess these dorks up.
And so I went and I fished all afternoon, and I circled back, and the first like 10 minutes they were like, what the hell is this guy doing here? I had like long hair, like, and they warmed up to me, but I met this dude there, this guy Ned, who like he's like straight out of the Big Lebowski, one of the most unique looking. He had like probably in his 60s, had like matching retro Jordans and short shorts and a headband on, and he was just like fired up about what I was doing, and he invited me back to see his llama farm and like gave me a tour of this old abandoned graveyard, and it was just like the kookiest, like strangest day.
Sounds like you met Dwight Schrute.
Yeah, it was pretty similar to that. And so we left Pennsylvania. I was just so happy to, I was like, man, I'm so glad that I experienced that wild week with these really cool people.
What an experience of putting yourself out there in like this modern day of media culture, of being able to break down this barrier of relation, the phone and social media and media in general is just a barrier to friendship. Like it really does. It's just an electronic fence that we all walk around with because you're like, I don't really need to talk to somebody because I can twiddle here, I can text here and blah, blah, blah. Like that's really cool. Like Wednesday night's pickleball night. Yeah, let's go give it a shot and see who's on the court. Then you meet Ned and, you get to go to the llama farm and.
Yeah. And you were talking about like courage of like saying yes to, being on the road like this. And that's one thing that in those situations, it's only been 4 months, but I feel it's been super transformative for me of just like, dude, just like say yes, go talk to the person that you're like intimidated to talk to, just ask them questions, see what's up, and the opportunities that have, my day to day, for example, that have come from that. I like to think I'll like never go back to the kind of like that insular, more like kind of secluded life. Like I'm just talking to strangers left and right, and the doors that open because of that. It's amazing, and people are so awesome. They just want to help you out most of the time.
Yeah, I think we can all take a lot from that. Yeah, and just kind of tear down our kind of these this invisible force field that our phone and electronic communication allows us to have, and actually start to meet people and go out of our way to do it. Because if you had sent me an email and said, "Hey, I'm coming out and here's what I'm doing," I'd be like, "Hey, good luck."
100%.
Yeah, I get the chance to talk to you in the parking lot and have a real conversation. It's totally different. But yeah, man. So like, tell us about your day to day. Like, I was going to go out with you today, and I would have loved to, but when Skylar, he was supposed to guide today, as you know.
Yeah.
And then he was like, hey, he ended up with this cancellation and had an opportunity to go. And I really wanted I really wanted the guys to meet you for one,
Yeah.
and especially kind of share your story because I think, in my position, I get to meet a lot of, I get to meet a lot of unique people and fish a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But for these guys to get to meet you and be a part of that, and maybe they wind up in your story somewhere, I think it's really neat for you to get exposed to some of our other teammates here. So
100%.
yeah, tell us how the day went down.
Yeah, so it was we were gonna meet. I was gonna come down here at 11, and so I slept in a little bit and was church camera gear all night, and I like woke up to a knock on the camper door. I think like 9 or 9:30, and Skylar was like, "Anyone home?" And so I was like, "I think I'm in a safe place, but like
Yeah.
this is a unique way to start the day." And I walk out. He's like, "Hey, Joe sent me up," and he had the boat out behind the truck. He's like, "Let's go fishing." And he didn't need to ask twice. I was like, okay. So threw all the camera gear in a bag and we ran the shuttle and met Burns is what we were calling him. Is
Yep.
that what he
Burns.
goes?
Yep.
Okay. So it was them two and me and hopped into the boat and yeah, we had an amazing day. I think we fished like 3 miles or so a river and we did really well. It was a super good day.
Yeah, I
Super good
got your
day.
Washington. You caught, I'm guessing, primarily all rainbows today.
All rainbows and some whitefish, which, being from the East Coast, like a whitefish it's a fun thing for me.
Yeah, do you guys have whitefish back there?
Not that I know of. I had never caught one until, fishing out west. So.
Yeah, they're cool. They're native fish. They're fine.
Yeah.
We target trout, but
Yeah.
catch whiteys. When you could see, you get to yuck it up with Burns. He's the guy to talk to about the Olympic Peninsula.
Yeah.
So he
he gave
guides
me
on
some spots.
got it. So you coordinated with Burns because Burns he guides on the Olympic Peninsula a little bit every winter.
Okay.
And super tuned in. Yeah, so he's definitely a guy to talk to. What'd you guys do? Nymph fish, streamer fish?
Yeah, we nymphed pretty, like, kind of all the deepest sections. Some pretty long leaders and, yeah, like glow bugs, they were calling them, and then stoneflies. I didn't change flies
You're
once.
just throwing junk at him, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which I'm down for. I'm not a purist or an elitist.
There's coho in the river right now. There's not a ton of them, but like I was wade fishing the other day and I literally stepped on a dead coho.
We saw a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I stepped on a dead coho and just eggs went everywhere. And I was like, and they're big, they're like an 8 millimeter. I was like, and we don't fish, you guys fished yarn eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't, company wide is, I'm passionate about it too, but Steve is as well. Like, I've been guiding here 25 years. Like, I care so deeply about the health and vitality of the trout population, but like, I care about individual trout. Like, I'm like, man, you hook some of these fish that are 16 to 20 inches. That's a 5 to 7-year-old fish, at least 4 to 7-year-old fish. Like, you got to take care of them. And like, guys will use beads. Like, we use a bead for a steelhead. Like, if we nymph fish for steelhead, they have a really big mouth, a big jaw. We don't foul hook them. We don't get them in the eye. But like with trout, like small trout here with beads, man, you have potential to hook them all sorts of different places. So yeah, yarn is okay if you're going to fish eggs. But yeah, what were the fish primarily on? Stoneflies or
Yeah. I would say maybe 3/4 of the fish we caught were on the stones. And yeah.
That little bit of snow and rain that you guys encountered today, how much did snow on you?
It was definitely sticking, but no, like, I don't know, maybe half an inch or so. But it was epic. Like first day in Washington, I was, this is badass weather.
Yeah.
It felt right, to be out there in that weather.
When we get those little weather changes, bugs are like anything else. They, like in clear conditions, like clear skies, sunny days, clear water, like bugs know their prey. I mean, they don't move. They just physically don't move within the river. We're not talking about stimulus for a hatch. We're just talking about insect movement in general is better when things are dark, humid, and we get a little bit of precipitation. Like worms are more active, stoneflies are more active, mayflies, every bug in the river is just a little bit more active. Crayfish, sculpin, everything's good. And this time of year, we just get such optimal weather conditions. I mean, that light was so flat today, I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, because this was your first day in the Yakima Canyon.
It was.
That river is hard to read, isn't it? Like, you can't tell if it's 12 inches deep or 12 feet deep.
Like, yeah, literally. Yeah.
And the water's clear, like the water's nice and clear. You get to a spot and you can look down, but the bottom is just, that flat light is so monotonous here. It's very difficult to read.
Yeah.
You learn anything from those guys today? Like,
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah, some awesome Skylar was talking to me about like thumb placement on the rod specifically for mending. And it's just like literally a 1/2 inch adjustment that I made. And I'm like pumped to go fish tomorrow because
You just move your hand up the rod, or
up the rod. And then he was talking about like facing the reel. Like, I guess the two things, he was like, face the reel in the direction that you want your men to go. And then thumb like directly opposite the reel to really, I forget the phrase he used, like activate the spine of the rod. And I was like, the flick, I was fishing all his gear. So, that was an adjustment, but like the flick I was getting afterwards was just so much more pure.
I know exactly what you're describing. Instead of mending with that line that's hanging below the guides,
Yep.
you're turning your hand to get that line level with the eyelets of the rod, and that line is much snappier. I know exactly what you're describing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a night and day adjustment. It was pretty cool.
That's cool. Sometimes it's the little stuff, man. I say this on the podcast all the time. Every time I think I'm like got really good at fly fishing, I learned something like that I realize I've been doing wrong for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how have I been doing that wrong for 20 years without this one little adjustment? We're all students. So next steps for you, you wrapped up, you got Washington trout, you got Washington whitefish,
Mm-hmm.
add a couple more to the notches to the belt, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to head over to Seattle land,
Yeah.
see the big city. You going to do anything in the city in particular? Or?
Well, we got Thanksgiving on Thursday. I have a friend that lives in Seattle who I might go have Thanksgiving with her and her family, but I definitely, want to fish the coast for like at least a handful of days.
Have you thought about a sea run cutthroat?
I've thought a lot about them.
I'm going to give you my buddy Chad's number.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's like top of my list.
Really?
Yeah, I would, that would make my trip.
I'm going to give you my buddy Chad's number. His company's called Fjord Fly Fishing. He was my guide mentor here on the Yakima.
Oh, wow.
And I could never thank that guy enough for some of the small things that he taught me that he still to this day, 28 years later, and I know, well, we're going on 29 now, 28 years later, he'll still never know the magnitude of some of the smallest things he showed me when I sucked. Was so bad at fly fishing, and he showed me just some of the smallest things, demonstrated some of the smallest things. And so all these years later, we're still buddies and still friends. And then he is actually one of our international travel hosts, and he's a firefighter, first responder, but he guides here on Cutthroat. Still, he grew up on Hood Canal over there in the big fjord, and his company's called Fjord Fly Fishing. But I don't expect that he'll be able to get out over the holidays, but he can give you some information and really get you like right where you need to be to give yourself the best opportunity for sea run cut. So yeah, I'll get you his number, and then I'm glad you got somebody to connect with for Thanksgiving. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's been, as you've said earlier, it's like a lot of alone time. I've had people fly out, videographers and stuff, to help for different sections. My sister is actually a photographer and videographer. She was just out for like 3 weeks. But yeah, it's a lot of solo time for sure. So those holidays are nice to go see someone that you
What about books? Have you read any good books?
I've been listening to quite a few books, like audiobooks, just so much time driving. What have I listened to recently? Listened to this book, The Great Alone.
Isn't that's appropriate?
It's my autobiography. No, that was a cool book about Alaska. I didn't grow up as a Harry Potter fan, but I've kind of like gotten into listening to the Harry Potter
to all
books.
the Harry Potter ones, man. Yep.
It's like my fall, they're so cozy, right? So it's my fall ritual. So I'm doing that series right now. Past the time I could like memorize them by this point.
Oh, I'm a total dweeb. I'm a Lord of the Rings dweeb. I've read them, listened to them, read The Hobbit, listened to The Hobbit. I do a lot of backcountry hunting and with my sons, and we put on a lot of trail miles. And that's one of our routines is we listen to The Hobbit on the trail, and and then we'll be like, we might be on like a 10-mile hike or something, like 10 miles into the backcountry. We throw The Hobbit on, and they'll be like, oh, how far is it? Oh, like Gandalf said, it's a 5 days march from here.
Yeah.
And we're like, why, man, these friggin' dwarves are hiking for 5 days straight. All we got to do is get 10 miles.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are fun to pass the time. But a couple of books, like It's funny, shop manager Bob sits right here. I don't know if you met him today or not,
I
but
didn't know.
Bob and I coincidentally have been into a lot of the same books lately, and we kind of both got into these shipwreck books. And there's one
Mm,
called The Wager, which is just spectacular. I mean, like, I can't recommend that highly enough. And have you read Endurance, Shackleton's Endurance?
no.
Oh my God, start there. Like,
Okay.
no more conversation. But yeah, the Wager's really good too. But
Okay.
Bobby and I, like, coincidentally, I just got done with The Wide, Wide Sea, which is like, about Captain Cook's third voyage. And it talks a lot about Christmas Island, which I'd like to fish in Christmas Island. So there's kind of a lot of backstory there. But yeah, I'm sure on the road you're consuming a lot of audio content.
100%. Yeah, my Audible bill has been pretty high.
All right, The Big Alone,
Yeah, Great Alone.
The Great Alone, the auto.
My book will be called The Big Alone.
the
It's a little less poetic. It doesn't slide off the tongue quite as well, but
Well, man, thanks for being on today. We're gonna check back with you. I want to do this remotely, you know, on the rebound of your trip, however long it takes you. Maybe we'll do it 3/4 of the way through, but
mhm.
I want to check in with you again, and I want to do another installment, and I want to pick up on the states that you hit after Washington.
That sounds good. Yeah, my plan is kinda finish out the first 24, get halfway done and take a little time off, and then I should be on the road, like, straight through June or July of next summer.
Are you going to leave your rig, fly home, and then fly back to your rig?
As insane as it sounds, I think I'm actually gonna drive home and then drive back. I've got my dog with me.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and
Complicates things a little bit.
yeah, he's like a little bit over 60 pounds, so he can't, there's no more big dogs on planes really unless you jump through all these hoops. So
Yeah.
I think I'll just bite the bullet and put Harry Potter on and
Harry
dri-
Potter on repeat, man.
yeah, drive the 3,000 miles back.
Ryan, how can people follow your story?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say if anyone is excited by kind of what I'm trying to do or is just passionate about showing off their home waters and would like to fish or, give me some pointers, I would love to hear from people that like today, for example, fishing with someone who knows these waters so well is what this project's all about. So would love to hear from people. Instagram is Tales of the 48, which is Tales,
I
like
saw
story
what you
tale.
did. I
Yeah,
was gonna ask if you were an English teacher and
yeah,
either
misspelled.
misspelled it or used your play on words. But
Yeah, a
yeah,
little. I love a play on words.
Tales of the 48.
Yes, all one word, number 48, and then my
That's on Instagram.
on Instagram, my email is talesofthe48@gmail.com.
And then yeah, we'll just wait and see where your documentary winds up, right?
Yeah, the plan is just film it over the course of the year, and then once we're home, I got a couple friends that are, passionate about telling this story as well, and video editors. We'll piece it all together and probably see if there's, film festivals are interested, and there's good old YouTube if we don't get any bites. But that'll be like it'll be a couple years in the making still.
God, you're a patient man. You're a patient man. God bless you. Good luck. Drive safe. Fish hard. Yeah, go follow the Instagram Tales of the 48 on Instagram. And hey, what states are you looking for help next?
Anything Washington, coastal Washington, Oregon, California, and south from there.
South from there. All right, people, listen up. Go find them on Instagram. Send them a DM. Help Ryan out. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.